Hey everyone, ready to dive deep into the world of Inception? Released on July 16, 2010, this film has sparked endless discussions, and today, we're uncovering every thrilling detail. If you enjoy this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps us grow. And for more incredible movie explorations and hidden gems, subscribe to the channel. Now, let's unravel the magic behind this cinematic masterpiece. In a world where the line between dreams and reality constantly shifts, one film dared to explore the very fabric of the subconscious, asking questions that go beyond the limits of the screen. On July 16, 2010, Christopher Nolan's Inception was unleashed upon audiences, a mind-bending cinematic experience that left viewers questioning the nature of reality itself. From its exhilarating action sequences to its philosophical undertones, Inception is a film that defies easy categorization. It isn't just another heist movie. It's a visceral journey through the very essence of the human mind, where the stakes are as high as the emotional depth it explores. What makes Inception extraordinary is not only its innovative premise but the intricate execution of ideas that Nolan carefully weaves throughout the film. At its core, it is a heist story, one where the job isn't to steal a secret, but to implant an idea into the mind of a target, thus planting the seeds of change. This central concept, referred to as Inception, pushes the boundaries of conventional storytelling by blending action, suspense, and deeply philosophical inquiries about identity, memory, and guilt. The film's complex narrative, stunning visual effects, and unforgettable performances combine to create a work of art that has since become a cultural touchstone, widely regarded as one of the greatest films of the 21st century. But what truly elevates Inception from an entertaining summer blockbuster into a cultural phenomenon is its ability to be both intellectually stimulating and emotionally resonant. Every element of the film is carefully crafted to provoke thought and elicit an emotional response. The layered storytelling encourages multiple interpretations, ensuring that viewers will find something new each time they rewatch it. And it's this depth that continues to draw people in, long after the credits roll. At the center of Inception is Dom Cobb, a skilled thief played by Leonardo DiCaprio, who specializes in the art of extraction, the practice of entering a person's dreams and stealing valuable information from their subconscious. Cobb's team, led by his trusted partner Arthur, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, includes specialists like Eames, Tom Hardy, a forger who can shapeshift within dreams, and Ariadne Elliott-Page, a young architect tasked with designing the dreamscapes. The film's narrative starts with Cobb being hired for a seemingly impossible task: to plant an idea, rather than steal one, inside the mind of a wealthy businessman named Robert Fisher, Cillian Murphy. The catch? Cobb must navigate a maze of dream layers, where time and perception are warped, and the very fabric of reality can collapse with a single misstep. As Cobb assembles his team and embarks on this ambitious mission, the film dives deep into the complexities of the human psyche. Dreams, memories, and guilt come into play in a way that transcends the mere mechanics of the heist itself. Throughout the film, Cobb's struggle is not only with the external forces trying to thwart his mission, but with his own unresolved emotional baggage. His memories of his deceased wife, Marion Cotillard, haunt him throughout the dream world, often blurring the lines between the real and the imagined. As Cobb descends further into the dream layers, his unresolved guilt about Mal's death becomes increasingly intertwined with his mission, creating a tension that gives the film its emotional weight. The film's plot is built around a series of dream layers, each one more dangerous and unstable than the last. As Cobb and his team journey deeper into Fisher's subconscious, the rules of time and space begin to bend, leading to some of the most visually arresting sequences in modern cinema. One of the most iconic scenes in the film features a hallway that rotates, forcing Arthur into a gravity-defying fight against a group of hostile projections. The scene, achieved through practical effects, is a masterclass in filmmaking, where the rules of reality are completely upended. But it's not just the action that captivates. The emotional stakes are equally high, with Cobb's personal journey into his own memories providing the heart of the story. And then there are the twists. Inception is a film that constantly shifts and surprises, with each new revelation leading the audience further down a rabbit hole of uncertainty. Just when you think you've grasped the rules of the dream world, Nolan pulls the rug out from under you, forcing you to reconsider everything you thought you knew. The tension builds relentlessly as Cobb and his team approach their target, culminating in a breathtaking final sequence that leaves the audience in a state of suspense and wonder. The ending, with its spinning top, has become one of the most talked about moments in film history. Is Cobb still trapped in a dream, or has he finally returned to reality? The ambiguity of the conclusion only adds to the film's mystique, encouraging viewers to debate and theorize long after they've left the theater. The film's success also lies in its performances. Leonardo DiCaprio delivers a career-defining turn as Cobb, bringing depth and vulnerability to a character whose emotional conflict drives the entire plot. His portrayal of a man struggling with guilt, loss, and the weight of his own decisions is nothing short of mesmerizing. Marion Cotillard, as Cobb's wife Mal, brings a haunting, ethereal quality to the film, playing a character who exists both as a real person and a projection of Cobb's tortured subconscious. The supporting cast, including Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Tom Hardy, and Elliot Page, all deliver stellar performances, each bringing a unique flair to their roles while contributing to the film's seamless ensemble chemistry. Visually, Inception is a spectacle unlike any other. Nolan's decision to blend practical effects with CGI results in a film that feels grounded, even as it stretches the limits of imagination. The breathtaking cityscapes that fold in on themselves, the dream worlds that defy the laws of physics, and the epic, slow-motion action sequences are all rendered with such precision that they feel tangible, despite their surreal nature. The practical effects in particular, the rotating hallways, the zero-gravity fight sequences, the crumbling dreamscapes, remain some of the most memorable and groundbreaking in modern cinema. Hans Zimmer's score, with its soaring brass and haunting melodies, perfectly complements the film's visual style, creating a musical experience that lingers in your mind long after the film ends. The use of sound is also crucial in creating the dreamlike atmosphere, with subtle audio cues reminding us of the thin veil between the dream world and reality. But Inception is more than just a technical marvel. It's a film that taps into universal themes about the nature of the mind, the power of memories, and the boundaries between dreams and reality. The idea of planting an idea in someone's subconscious, of changing the way a person thinks without them even knowing it, raises profound questions about free will and manipulation. Is the mind truly our own, or are we constantly shaped by external forces? The idea of inception becomes a metaphor for the power of storytelling itself, the ability to plant an idea in someone's mind, to influence their beliefs and decisions without them even realizing it. When Inception was first released, it quickly became more than just a film. It became a cultural phenomenon. Audiences and critics alike were captivated by the film's innovative storytelling and mind-bending narrative. It sparked widespread discussions, with viewers scrambling to piece together the film's intricate plot and unravel its many layers. The ending, with its open-ended question of whether Cobb is still dreaming, became a topic of intense debate, with fans dissecting every frame and theorizing about the film's true meaning. In the years since its release, Inception has only grown in stature, becoming one of the most influential films of the 21st century. Its impact can be seen in everything from popular culture to the world of filmmaking, where its narrative complexity and visual style have influenced a new generation of directors and storytellers. For those who haven't yet experienced Inception, the film remains a tantalizing enigma, an experience that promises to challenge the way you think about reality and the mind. It's a film that doesn't just entertain. It makes you think, question, and ultimately reflect on your own perceptions of the world around you. With its unforgettable performances, groundbreaking visuals, and thought-provoking themes, Inception stands as a testament to the power of cinema to explore the deepest corners of the human psyche. If you haven't already, now is the time to dive deep into its layers, uncovering every twist, every clue, and every hidden meaning that makes this film one of the most extraordinary cinematic experiences ever created. The film begins with a disorienting, near-impossible scenario. Dom Cobb, Leonardo DiCaprio, a skilled thief who specializes in extraction, the art of stealing secrets from deep within a person's subconscious during their dreams, finds himself on the shores of a beach, drenched and barely conscious. As he sits up, Looking confused and disoriented, we quickly realize that something isn't quite right. This opening scene, a blurry recollection of the disorienting space between dreams and reality, sets the tone for the rest of Inception. Nothing is ever what it seems. Cobb is immediately thrust into a world of high-stakes danger when he's confronted by a mysterious figure, Saito Ken Watanabe, a powerful businessman who offers him an impossible job, not to extract an idea, but to implant one into the subconscious of Robert Fisher, Cillian Murphy, the heir to a massive energy empire. This operation, called Inception, involves planting an idea so deeply within a person's mind that they believe it to be their own, ultimately changing the way they act. Saito promises Cobb that if he successfully carries out this heist, he'll clear Cobb's criminal record and allow him to return home to his children, something Cobb has desperately wanted ever since being wrongfully accused of his wife's death. It's a tantalizing offer, but there's a catch. Inception is considered nearly impossible. Cobb's previous experience with such a complex task ended in failure, and the emotional scars from his past still weigh heavily on him. Cobb's motivation is not only professional. He longs to reunite with his children, and this job is his one shot at freedom. However, there's more than just business at play. As we begin to unravel Cobb's psyche, we start to see that his unresolved grief over the death of his wife, Marion Cotillard, will play a key role in both his success and his ultimate failure. To carry out this unprecedented mission, Cobb assembles a team of skilled specialists. His trusted partner, Arthur Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who assists with the logistics and dream manipulation. Eames Tom Hardy, a forger who can mimic the identities of people within dreams, and Ariadne Elliott Page, an architect recruited to design the dreamscapes they'll use to infiltrate Fisher's subconscious. The inclusion of Ariadne is particularly intriguing because she's new to this world of dreams and subconscious manipulation, making her the audience's guide into the complex rules of the dream world. As they start to plan the heist, the film quickly begins to reveal the intricacies of the dream world. Cobb explains that dreams operate on a different timescale. A few minutes in the real world can feel like hours, days, or even years in the dream world. As they get deeper into a target's subconscious, the layers of the dream world become more unstable and dangerous. Ariadne, new to the world of dream architecture, learns quickly that the subconscious can be a hostile place, full of projections, manifestations of the dreamer's thoughts, fears, and desires that can turn violent and work against the dream infiltrators. The team needs to stay vigilant as they create a series of nested dreams, each more unstable than the last, in order to plant an idea into Fisher's mind. They're not just pulling off a standard heist. They're diving into the very heart of Fisher's subconscious. We learn quickly that Cobb's involvement in the job is more complicated than it first seems. Cobb's deep-seated guilt over the death of his wife, Mal, plays a central role in the mission. Throughout the dreams, Mal frequently appears, seemingly as a manifestation of Cobb's subconscious, haunting him with her presence. Cobb's unresolved feelings for Mal and his refusal to confront his own role in her death add a tense, emotional layer to the otherwise technical mission. Cobb's obsession with finding a way to bring Mal back leads him to make dangerous choices, and we soon see that his inner turmoil may endanger the entire team. Cobb's emotional baggage isn't just a side story. It's a time bomb ticking away beneath the surface of the mission, setting the stage for the twists that will soon unravel. As Cobb and his team begin to execute the heist, they enter Fisher's subconscious by first taking him on a flight to a distant location. The dream begins in the real world, with the team using the sedative to put Fisher under and guide him into a dream state. But once they enter the first layer of the dream, things quickly spiral out of control. Fisher's subconscious begins to fight back, and they soon realize that the deeper they go, the more unstable Fisher's mind becomes. The dream world is not a friendly place. It's full of dangers, including projections of Fisher's own fears and insecurities that are designed to protect his subconscious. As the team delves deeper into Fisher's mind, they face challenges at every turn. The first real test of the team's abilities comes when they're faced with Fisher's projections, which are hostile and relentless in their efforts to throw the team off track. As they navigate these dreamscapes, the group must act quickly and decisively. Every second is vital in a world where time is stretched and the dangers feel increasingly real. In one of the most thrilling moments early on, Arthur faces a hallway that starts rotating at high speed, a result of the dream's instability. As the laws of physics are warped, Arthur must fight off attackers while navigating a rotating corridor, a visual spectacle that creates a sense of vertigo and urgency. It's a bold, breathtaking moment that showcases Nolan's mastery of action and practical effects, all while emphasizing the tension that is building between the dream world and the real one. Meanwhile, Cobb's personal struggles with his own memories of Mal come to the forefront. She appears in his dreams with increasing frequency, seemingly sabotaging the team's efforts by destabilizing the dream world. Her presence, though, isn't random. It's deeply tied to Cobb's inability to let go of the past. His guilt over Mal's death leads him to constantly dream of her. And in the dream world, she's no longer just a memory. Cobb's subconscious has created a version of her that acts against him, an internalized version of his deepest regrets and unresolved feelings. This dynamic adds a personal, emotional conflict to the heist that elevates the stakes from a mere job to something deeply personal. The team's strategy is to work through 3 layers of dreams to reach Fisher's subconscious mind and plant the idea deep within his psyche. As the dream layers progress, time becomes increasingly distorted. The deeper they go, the slower time moves in the dream world, creating a ticking clock scenario where every minute in the real world is a much longer span in the dream world. This setup creates an atmosphere of mounting tension, where the team must finish the task before they risk becoming trapped in the dream forever. Each layer becomes more dangerous, and their progress becomes more uncertain. Just when the tension seems at its highest, another critical element is introduced, the concept of kick. A kick is a synchronized jolt of movement designed to bring someone back to the real world from the dream state. But the timing has to be perfect. In the first dream layer, the team experiences the first attempt at a kick, which takes the form of a van falling off a bridge. But time doesn't function in a linear way within the dream layers, so they must synchronize kicks across all layers of the dream. As each level becomes more dangerous, the risks increase exponentially. The first half of Inception concludes with the team successfully planting the idea deep within Fisher's subconscious. But the deeper they go, the more perilous the journey becomes. The boundaries between the dream world and the real world blur, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Cobb's emotional turmoil continues to grow as he struggles to deal with the ghosts of his past, and his guilt over Mal's death becomes more unbearable. As the team descends further into Fisher's subconscious, it's clear that the true challenge isn't just performing the heist. It's surviving the emotional minefield that Cobb's subconscious has become. The first half of Inception is an intricate, suspense-filled exploration of the complexities of the human mind, where the lines between dreams and reality are constantly shifting. As the characters wrestle with both external dangers and internal conflicts, the audience is pulled into a world that is as emotionally charged as it is visually stunning. Each twist, each layer of the dream, adds to the sense of uncertainty and danger that permeates the film, ensuring that every moment is filled with excitement, suspense, and emotional depth. As the second half of Inception begins, the stakes have never been higher. The team, having already delved deep into Robert Fisher's subconscious, is nearing the final stages of their mission. But as we quickly learn, the deeper they go, the more perilous the situation becomes. Time is running out, and the risk of getting trapped in the dream world grows exponentially. The first half set up the rules of the dreamscape, the team's dynamic, and Cobb's internal struggle. Now, we're thrust into the chaos that ensues as these elements begin to collide in powerful and unexpected ways. The dream layers continue to multiply as Cobb and his team journey into Fisher's subconscious. Each level takes them closer to their goal, implanting the idea in Fisher's mind. But with each layer, the risks become more dangerous and the stakes higher. The emotional tension escalates, driven by Cobb's unresolved feelings about his wife, Mal, who remains a constant, haunting presence in his dreams. The team's mission begins to unravel as Fisher's subconscious begins to fight back. Fisher's mind, ever the fortress, presents obstacles that become increasingly difficult to overcome. In the second layer, as the team moves further into Fisher's subconscious, they must act quickly to avoid Fisher's projections. his subconscious defenders, who are now fully aware of the intruders. These projections become violent, attacking the team with a ferocity that forces them to improvise and fight for their lives. Eames, Tom Hardy, and Arthur, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, have their hands full as they attempt to navigate the dangers of Fisher's mind. But it is in this layer where the team faces one of the most thrilling and visually stunning sequences in the film, the zero-gravity fight. In this sequence, Arthur must engage in combat inside a hotel corridor that is rotating uncontrollably. The laws of gravity are thrown out the window, creating a disorienting and thrilling battle. Arthur's precision and quick thinking are tested as he attempts to fend off Fisher's projections while navigating a hall that seems to exist in a state of chaos. The choreography of the sequence is remarkable: practical effects, impeccable timing, and a perfect score by Hans Zimmer make this fight one of the most memorable moments of the film. It's an exhilarating sequence, and while it is primarily a visual spectacle, it also highlights the ever-increasing stakes of the heist. The deeper the team ventures, the more unpredictable the dream world becomes. But it's not just physical dangers that the team faces, it's also psychological warfare. Cobb's emotional turmoil and guilt over Mal's death continue to haunt him, and the dream layers become a manifestation of his subconscious grief. In the midst of the chaos, Cobb is forced to confront his past. As the team moves further into Fisher's mind, Cobb begins to question whether he can truly separate his personal demons from the mission at hand. His unresolved feelings toward Mal, coupled with the guilt of his role in her death, continue to destabilize the dream world, threatening to destroy everything they've worked for. This internal conflict comes to a head as Cobb reaches the most dangerous layer of the dream. It is here that we witness one of the most emotionally powerful and profound moments of the entire film: Cobb's confrontation with his guilt and the truth about his wife's death. Cobb and Mal's tragic backstory, which has been hinted at throughout the film, is revealed in full. In a heart-wrenching flashback, we learn that Cobb's guilt stems from a painful truth. He was responsible for Mal's death, even though it was in the context of a dream. Mal, trapped in limbo, a place where dreamers go when they die in the dream world, was led to believe that she was still in the dream after many years of living there. Cobb, in an act of love and desperation, performed inception on her, planting the idea that the dream world wasn't real, and that the only way to wake up was for her to die in the dream. But when she awoke in the real world, Mal couldn't accept that it was real, and she became consumed by the idea that she was still dreaming. This belief led her to her own tragic death, an act Cobb feels responsible for, a decision that continues to torment him. In the deepest layers of the dream, Cobb's guilt manifests in the form of Mal, who appears as a projection of his subconscious. She taunts him, accusing him of betraying her, and forces him to relive their final moments together. This emotional turmoil reaches a breaking point when Cobb, now fully aware of the truth, is forced to confront the consequences of his actions. It's a powerful, emotional moment, one that ties together the film's themes of memory, guilt, and the inescapable nature of one's past. Cobb must let go of his haunting memories of Mal to complete the mission and return to reality. But this final confrontation also represents the ultimate test of Cobb's own ability to reconcile his emotions and move forward. As the film progresses, the team's mission becomes even more chaotic. The deeper they go, the more unstable the dream world becomes, and the closer they come to Fisher's subconscious vault, where the final key to completing the inception lies. The ticking clock grows louder as time in the dream layers stretches and bends, but Fisher's subconscious defenses grow stronger, and the team finds themselves in increasingly dangerous situations. The dream's fabric is unraveling, and it's a race against time to finish the mission before the dream collapses. This culminates in a stunning sequence, the movie's most intense set of action sequences. As the team's journey through Fisher's subconscious takes an explosive turn, the various dream layers begin to destabilize, creating a sense of urgency and dread. The lower levels of the dream world begin to fold in on themselves, with characters racing against the clock to make it out before they risk being trapped in limbo. A van carrying Arthur, Eames, and Fisher falls into the water in the first layer, creating a visual metaphor for the sinking feeling that accompanies the team's crumbling reality. Meanwhile, in the second layer, the team faces even more life-threatening challenges, culminating in a desperate sequence where the kick, the synchronized jolt that will bring the dreamers back to the real world, becomes a race against time. In the final moments of the mission, we see Cobb at his most vulnerable. After reconciling with his guilt and confronting his own emotional demons, he is finally able to let go of Mal. In a powerful and cathartic moment, Cobb makes the decision to let her go for good, and in doing so, he is able to complete the inception in Fisher's mind. The plan succeeds. Fisher believes that the idea planted within his mind was his own, and the team has accomplished their mission. However, this resolution is not without its own bittersweet tone. Cobb finally returns to his children, but the question still lingers. Has he truly woken up, or is he still trapped in a dream? The final moments of the film are a perfect encapsulation of Inception's themes, leaving the audience on the edge of their seat. Cobb spins his totem, a small spinning top that, in the dream world, never stops spinning. As the camera lingers on the top, spinning with increasing speed, it begins to wobble, but we never see whether it falls. This ambiguity is the film's crowning achievement. It forces the audience to question what's real and what's not, leaving us with a final, lingering uncertainty that mirrors Cobb's own internal struggle. The second half of Inception is a masterful blend of action, emotion, and cerebral storytelling. As the dream layers collapse, the stakes become higher, the action more intense, and the emotional weight of Cobb's journey more palpable. The twists and revelations build upon each other, creating a sense of mounting tension and urgency. By the end of the film, every narrative thread, Cobb's personal journey, the heist, the dream worlds, and the emotional climax, is brought together in a seamless, exhilarating conclusion that leaves viewers questioning everything they've just seen. Inception remains a cinematic masterpiece, not only for its groundbreaking visual effects and action sequences, but for its deeply emotional core, which makes the film so unforgettable. The world of Inception is filled with characters whose motivations, struggles, and transformations are intricately tied to the very fabric of the story. As the film delves into the complexities of the human subconscious, each character plays a pivotal role not only in the heist, but also in pushing the boundaries between reality and dreams. At the heart of the film is Dom Cobb, whose emotional journey and internal conflict are the driving forces that elevate the narrative from a high-concept thriller to a deeply personal exploration of guilt, loss, and redemption. But it is the way these characters interact with each other and evolve throughout the film that makes Inception unforgettable. Dom Cobb, Leonardo DiCaprio, is undeniably the heart of Inception. From the very first moments of the film, it's clear that Cobb is a man burdened by more than just his job as an extractor. He is a haunted soul, trapped in a world where dreams and reality blur into one. Cobb's motivation, at least on the surface, seems straightforward. He wants to return to his children. But as the layers of his psyche are peeled back, it becomes evident that his drive to reunite with his children is much more complex. It's not just about regaining what he lost. It's about confronting a past that he has spent years trying to outrun. Cobb's internal conflict revolves around his guilt over the death of his wife, Mal, Marion Cotillard. The way DiCaprio portrays Cobb's internal struggle is nothing short of masterful. There's an undercurrent of vulnerability in his performance that constantly threatens to break through. Cobb is a man who has spent years suppressing the truth of his role in Mal's death. He performed Inception on her, planting the idea that she wasn't in the real world, and thus caused her to commit suicide. It's a tragic turn, one that he cannot fully accept, and as a result, his subconscious continues to manifest Mal in every dream. Cobb's guilt manifests in a projection of Mal, who constantly sabotages his missions, adding an emotional layer to the tension of the heist. This duality within Cobb, his role as a father desperate to return to his children and his role as a man unable to forgive himself, creates a deeply relatable and compelling character arc. DiCaprio's performance captures this conflict brilliantly, and as the film progresses, we watch Cobb's emotional journey unfold with a rawness that makes his eventual catharsis feel earned and truly powerful. In the film's climactic moments, Cobb's decision to let go of Mal and confront the truth about her death is a significant turning point. It's a pivotal moment in the film, as Cobb is no longer simply trying to escape his guilt. he is actively facing it. DiCaprio's portrayal of Cobb's emotional unraveling is poignant and heartbreaking, particularly in the scene where Cobb finally admits to himself that he was responsible for Mal's death and that he needs to let her go. The emotional weight of this realization adds a layer of humanity to the character, turning him from a man driven by external goals into a fully realized individual, ready to reconcile with his past and move forward. Arthur, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, serves as Cobb's most trusted ally throughout the heist. The calm, meticulous planner, Arthur is the perfect foil to Cobb's emotional turmoil. Where Cobb is haunted by his past, Arthur is grounded, focused on the logistics of the mission. Gordon-Levitt brings a sharp, calculated quality to Arthur, making him the ideal partner for Cobb in the high-stakes world of dream theft. Though Arthur is often seen as the straight man to Cobb's more emotionally complex persona, there is more to him than meets the eye. His deep loyalty to Cobb is evident, and as the film progresses, we see that Arthur's commitment to the team and to their mission is unwavering. But Arthur's true significance becomes evident when he is thrust into moments of extreme pressure, particularly during the film's action sequences. The famous zero-gravity hallway fight, for instance, sees Arthur put in a position where he must use his quick thinking and physical agility to fend off Fisher's projections. Gordon-Levitt's performance in these moments is tense and precise. He isn't just a supporting character in the action scenes. He's integral to the unfolding of the narrative, his dedication and skills helping push the team toward their goal. His emotional arc is subtle but impactful, revealing a man who is not only devoted to his job but to Cobb as well. His unwavering belief in Cobb's ability to succeed, even when the mission seems doomed, speaks to the depth of their friendship and shared history. Ariadne, Elliot Page, the newest member of the team, is the audience's entry point into the complex world of dreams. As the architect who designs the dream landscapes, Ariadne plays a critical role in the success of the mission, but she also serves a deeper purpose. She acts as a mirror to Cobb, offering him an outside perspective on his emotional struggle. Ariadne's curiosity and sense of wonder about the dream world reflect the audience's own desire to understand this complex reality. She begins the film with a sense of awe and naivety, but as the story unfolds, she becomes more involved in Cobb's personal journey, slowly unearthing the truth about Mal and the psychological weight Cobb carries. Page's performance as Ariadne is a beautiful balance of intelligence, empathy, and resilience. As she becomes more deeply entwined in the team's mission, she proves to be more than just a tool for the dream's design. She becomes an emotional anchor for Cobb, someone who encourages him to confront his deepest fears. Ariadne's role as a catalyst for Cobb's growth is especially evident in the moments when she presses him about his past with Mal. Her persistent questioning challenges Cobb to face the guilt that has consumed him, making her arc just as significant as Cobb's own. Eames, Tom Hardy, brings a level of charisma and wit to the film, offering a refreshing contrast to the more serious tones of Cobb and Arthur. As a forger, Eames's ability to manipulate identities in dreams adds a layer of fun to the mission. Hardy plays Eames with a delightful sense of humor and charm, turning what could have been a one-dimensional character into a scene stealer. Eames brings levity to the heist, but his contributions go beyond comic relief. He's a master of deception, and his skills in manipulating Fisher's subconscious are crucial to the team's success. Hardy's performance shines in moments of tension, where Eames's quick thinking and cleverness provide both comic relief and strategic brilliance. Eames's ability to seamlessly switch identities adds a fluid, unpredictable quality to the dream world, keeping both the characters and the audience on their toes. Then, there's Robert Fisher, Cillian Murphy, the heir to the energy empire at the heart of the mission. Fisher is not just a passive target. He's a character in his own right, with a backstory that adds a surprising emotional depth to the story. Fisher's motivations are tied to his desire to honor his father's legacy, but there's a vulnerability beneath his business-driven exterior. Murphy gives a nuanced performance, showing us a man who is conflicted about his own future and legacy. As the team works to implant the idea of breaking up the empire, Fisher's own insecurities and fears surface, revealing his emotional wounds. His internal conflict makes him more than just a subject for the team's inception. He becomes a reflection of Cobb's own inner turmoil, a man trying to live up to expectations and struggling with the weight of familial ties. Fisher's journey is one of self-discovery, and Murphy plays him with a quiet intensity that adds a layer of pathos to the film's cerebral nature. Saito, Ken Watanabe, the powerful businessman who hires Cobb for the job, is another character whose motivations are rooted in personal ambition and a sense of duty. Saito is introduced as a businessman with a powerful influence, but as the story progresses, we see that his reasons for hiring Cobb are more complex. His own dreams, while not as intricately explored as Cobb's, are revealed to be just as significant, making Saito a crucial piece of the puzzle. Watanabe's performance is dignified and commanding, but he also brings a subtle vulnerability to Saito, especially in the scenes where his future is at stake. Finally, Mal Marion Cotillard, Cobb's deceased wife, is not just a projection of Cobb's guilt, but a tragic character in her own right. Cotillard's performance as Mal is haunting and ethereal, capturing the depth of Cobb's love for her and the grief that consumes him. Mal is more than just an obstacle to Cobb's success. She is a symbol of his greatest regret and his inability to move on. The complexity of Mal's character adds an emotional weight to the film's intricate narrative, making Cobb's journey of letting go feel all the more poignant. In Inception, every character is defined not just by their actions, but by their inner motivations and transformations. The performances breathe life into these characters, making them unforgettable. Each one, whether the determined Cobb, the loyal Arthur, the empathetic Ariadne, the charming Eames, the vulnerable Fisher, or the mysterious Saito, contributes to the film's exploration of memory, guilt, and identity. Through their arcs, Inception becomes not just a story about dreams and heists, but a meditation on the complexities of the human psyche and the emotional baggage we all carry. Inception is a film that invites you to pay close attention, not just to the surface-level action and plot, but to the deeper, more subtle elements hidden within. As one of the most meticulously crafted films in recent cinema, Christopher Nolan embedded a wealth of hidden details, references, and cultural callbacks throughout, creating a rich tapestry that rewards careful viewers. These discoveries are not just for the eagle-eyed. They are integral to the very structure of the movie, adding layers to its themes of dreams, guilt, and the subconscious. The most immediate and ever-present symbol in Inception is the spinning top. Cobb's totem, which he uses to determine if he's in the real world or the dream world, serves as the cornerstone for much of the film's exploration of reality versus illusion. But this simple object does much more than act as a plot device. It's loaded with symbolic meaning and cleverly foreshadows key moments. Throughout the film, the top is a constant visual motif, appearing in nearly every dream layer. The spinning top's very existence hints at Cobb's inability to accept the difference between the real world and the dream world, and it's not until the final scenes that it reaches its most significant emotional resonance. The top is a reflection of Cobb's personal struggle with guilt. When he spins it in the final moments, it is more than just a test of whether or not he is still dreaming. It is an expression of his emotional conflict. If it falls, he is in the real world, and he can finally return to his children. If it keeps spinning, then he is still trapped in the dream world, unable to let go of his guilt over Mal's death. The totem, then, acts as both a literal and figurative device for Cobb's journey of redemption. The ambiguity of the final shot, where we are left unsure if the top ever falls, allows the audience to reflect on whether Cobb's guilt has been resolved, or if his journey of atonement is ongoing. The top's uncertain fate becomes a reflection of Cobb's state of mind, caught somewhere between closure and continued denial. Cobb's wedding ring is another significant, but often overlooked detail that speaks volumes about his character's internal struggle. Throughout much of the film, Cobb wears a wedding ring, which serves as a visual indicator of his attachment to Mal. However, as the film progresses, Cobb begins to take off the ring as he confronts the reality of his own guilt. This subtle shift in his behavior, his ring's appearance or absence, acts as an unspoken clue for the audience about Cobb's emotional state. When the ring is on, Cobb is haunted by the memory of Mal. When it's gone, it signals that Cobb is starting to confront his past and move beyond his fixation on her. The change is gradual, but each time Cobb sheds the ring, it symbolizes his growing realization that in order to move forward, he must finally let go of his past. The music, particularly Hans Zimmer's iconic score, is another element that is filled with hidden meaning and ties seamlessly into the film's exploration of time and memory. The use of Ne Regret Rain, Edith Piaf's famous song, plays an important role in shaping the dream world and establishing the rules of the narrative. The song is more than just a soundtrack piece. It's woven into the very fabric of the dream layers. The idea of using this specific song in the dream world is clever on multiple levels. Not only does it act as a cue for the characters to nature of dreams and how they alter our perception of reality. In dreams, time moves differently, and our memories often feel compressed or distorted, just as Cobb's guilt has frozen him in time. It's a brilliant visual representation of how Cobb's trauma continues to bind him to the past. Even the architecture of the dream worlds itself is laden with meaning. The labyrinthine, ever-shifting landscapes serve as representations of the subconscious, constantly changing and adapting to the emotional states of the dreamer. In particular, the first dream layer, which involves the team navigating a city with constantly shifting streets and skyscrapers, mirrors Cobb's own fragmented mental state. Just as the city seems to fold in on itself, Cobb is mentally trapped in his guilt, unable to escape his past. The dream landscapes constantly change, reflecting how memories and emotions are not static. They evolve, distort, and sometimes collapse under their own weight. The dream architecture is not just a setting. It's a metaphor for the complexity of the mind itself, full of obstacles, unexpected turns, and the occasional crumbling foundation. Ariadne's role as the architect of the dream worlds provides another rich layer of metaphor and foreshadowing. She is the one who creates the dream spaces, but in many ways, she is also the one who uncovers the hidden truths. As she delves deeper into Fisher's subconscious and learns more about Cobb's relationship with Mal, Ariadne becomes the audience's guide not just to the world of dreams but also to the emotional heart of the film. Her role as architect is mirrored by her journey of discovery. She starts as a novice, just learning the ropes of dream construction, but by the end of the film, she has become more than just a creator of spaces. She has become an interpreter of the mind, capable of unraveling Cobb's deepest secrets. One of the most fascinating Easter eggs is the subtle reference to Nolan's previous films. There's a moment in Inception where a character mentions a dream within a dream, a concept that echoes the themes of The Prestige, another of Nolan's films, in which illusion, deception, and layers of reality are at the forefront. Similarly, the concept of duality in Inception, the juxtaposition between reality and the dream world, hints at Nolan's continued exploration of identity and perception in his work. In a more overt callback, one of the members of the team, Eames, talks about fooling Fisher's subconscious, in a way that echoes the themes of personal deception and trickery in The Prestige, as well as Nolan's love of complex narrative structures. Also, for fans of Nolan's work, the appearance of Cillian Murphy as Fisher is a subtle but poignant reference to Batman Begins, where he also played a character caught between personal fear and a larger, looming threat. His presence in Inception serves as an interesting crossover for Nolan's recurring collaborators, but it also reinforces the thematic connections between fear, control, and the manipulation of the mind. And for those who love to spot hidden references, the use of the phrase "we're dreaming" as a punchline in several of the film's scenes also hints at the Matrix franchise, one of the most culturally significant films to explore the boundaries between reality and illusion. The phrase is not just a tip of the hat to the Matrix but also a thematic reminder of Inception's own exploration of how we construct our perception of reality. In the final layers of the dream, as Cobb is racing against time to complete the mission and return to reality, the subconscious world begins to break down, with a visual representation of the sinking city mirroring Cobb's mental and emotional collapse. In many ways, this is the film's most powerful visual metaphor. An entire city, once full of life, is now crumbling and sinking, much like Cobb's sense of self. He is weighed down by his unresolved feelings of guilt and cannot free himself from the dream world until he confronts the truth. Every scene, every visual cue, every choice of sound design, and every fleeting reference in Inception serves a greater purpose, making the experience one that becomes more rewarding with each rewatch. What first seems like a sprawling heist film filled with mind-bending action is revealed to be, on a deeper level, a meditation on the complexities of the human psyche. As the final moments leave us suspended in uncertainty, these hidden details and Easter eggs serve as a reminder that in Nolan's world, nothing is as it seems, and every detail, no matter how small, can hold a deeper meaning. When Inception was released in 2010, it felt like a cinematic phenomenon, an exhilarating roller coaster of twists, turns, and visually stunning sequences. But what many viewers didn't realize was just how much of a roller coaster the production itself had been. From its groundbreaking special effects to the complex narrative that blurred the lines between dreams and reality, Inception wasn't just an audacious film, it was a masterclass in innovation, one that was forged through countless creative challenges and sometimes controversial decisions. At the heart of it all was Christopher Nolan, whose vision for Inception was as ambitious as it was complex. This was a film that demanded not just cutting-edge technology, but a profound level of collaboration between actors, special effects teams, and Nolan himself. Inception was a puzzle that, in many ways, had to be pieced together in real time, a high-stakes game of invention and experimentation that would pay off in ways few could have predicted. One of the most unusual production challenges Inception faced was the sheer scale of its ambitious stunts and visual effects. Nolan, known for his preference for practical effects, was adamant about creating the most realistic experience possible. No green screens, no relying on digital effects for everything. One of the most jaw-dropping scenes that exemplifies this philosophy is the famous zero-gravity hallway fight scene. Rather than relying on CGI to create the weightlessness effect, Nolan and his team built a rotating hallway that allowed the actors to perform the fight in real time without needing to edit or digitally alter the footage. This was a massive engineering challenge. The hallway itself was built on a giant gimbal, a massive rotating platform, allowing the whole room to turn while the actors were in it. It took months of preparation, and the stunt required perfect coordination between the actors and the crew. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who played Arthur, performed most of his own stunts in the scene. The result was a seamless, breathtaking sequence that felt entirely real and grounded despite the fantastical concept. The decision to use practical effects and avoid CGI was not without its challenges. Nolan is known for being notoriously strict about how things are done, and this didn't stop at the physical effects. Many of the dream worlds depicted in the film were built as massive physical sets, rather than digitally rendered. For instance, the city of Paris, where Dom Cobb and Ariadne walk through the folding streets, was designed with a physical model of the streets and then filmed using clever techniques to simulate the impossible architecture. The results were nothing short of stunning. Inception is a film that's packed with awe-inspiring practical effects that still hold up, even years after its release. But creating these practical effects was no small feat. The Paris folding streets scene, in particular, was one of the most challenging to film. The set required massive sections of streets and buildings to be constructed on a tilt so that the scene could be shot without digital trickery. The most iconic image from that sequence, the folding streets of Paris, was achieved by using a mix of practical effects and optical illusions. The famous shot where Ariadne watches Cobb fold the city was achieved using a giant model, a true work of practical magic. The level of precision and effort that went into the production is astonishing, as it required both cutting-edge technology and old-school craftsmanship. The commitment to realism also extended to the film's sound design, particularly in its use of the kick, a loud noise used to signal a character's return to the real world after being in a dream for too long. The concept of the kick is a literal, sonic cue that players in the dream need to use to wake themselves from the dream layer. What many don't know is that the sound of the kick was achieved through the filming of a real, physical event. In one scene, the entire crew had to rig up a massive hydraulic rig that would simulate the kick by jerking a car and the actor inside it in one motion. The resulting sound from the car jerking was used for the auditory cue, creating a powerful and real-world effect that added to the tension of the scene. Then there's the extraordinary teamwork required for the film's visual narrative. The art direction, production design, and cinematography had to work in perfect harmony to pull off the film's unique visual style. Wally Pfister, Nolan's longtime cinematographer, was instrumental in bringing Nolan's vision to life. What's particularly fascinating is how they used traditional film techniques to evoke a dreamlike quality. Rather than relying on excessive digital manipulation or quick-cut editing, the team crafted smooth, seamless shots with lingering camera movements. This created a sense of disorientation that mirrored the characters' psychological states. The way Nolan plays with the perception of time and space is seen most prominently in the final heist sequence, where the different dream levels are linked not just by storyline but through their visual and auditory cues. The film's cast, too, was integral to its success, and behind the scenes, the actors were often pushed to their limits. Leonardo DiCaprio, who played the tormented Dom Cobb, brought a level of intensity to the role that elevated the film. In fact, DiCaprio found himself so emotionally immersed in the role that he sometimes struggled to differentiate between his personal feelings and his character's turmoil. A particularly poignant behind-the-scenes story comes from the film's grueling filming schedule, where DiCaprio found himself exhausted by the constant shifts between dream worlds and reality. Nolan, known for his intense shooting schedules, kept the pace relentless, but it wasn't all work. There were moments of genuine camaraderie between the cast. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who portrayed Arthur, revealed in interviews that the production was incredibly taxing physically. For the zero-gravity fight, Gordon-Levitt had to train in order to maintain control over his body while fighting in an environment that defied all the laws of physics. He spent hours rehearsing and perfecting the stunts, and it was clear that his dedication paid off. On the set, Gordon-Levitt would often joke with the rest of the cast to keep the atmosphere light, especially during some of the more exhausting days on set. Despite the physicality of his role, he and his co-stars formed a close-knit bond, which is reflected in the camaraderie of the team dynamic that plays out so convincingly in the film. Then there's the fascinating story of Marion Cotillard, and her portrayal of Mal Nolan's wife, Emma Thomas, had been deeply involved in shaping the emotional core of the film, and it was Emma who suggested Cotillard for the role of Cobb's wife. Cotillard's haunting portrayal of Mal, a character who exists as both a figment of Cobb's subconscious and as a real emotional anchor for him, added layers to the film's exploration of guilt and grief. Cotillard brought a complexity to the role that few could have imagined, and her performance stands out for how she so seamlessly balances between being a dream image and a true person with emotional depth. Interestingly, Cotillard often said that it was difficult for her to reconcile Mal's role in the film, caught between Cobb's emotional attachment and her role as the ultimate antagonist. Behind the scenes, Cotillard and DiCaprio formed a strong working relationship, one that translated into a believable, emotionally charged on-screen dynamic. Another lesser-known tidbit from behind the scenes is the practical considerations of shooting scenes in dream worlds. For the famous limbo sequence, which occurs in a dream world filled with crumbling architecture, the production team faced a massive challenge in capturing the ethereal and otherworldly qualities of that location. The crew used a combination of real-life locations in Morocco and Italy to simulate the expansive, surreal landscapes of the dream. In particular, the team went to great lengths to ensure that each city, whether it was Paris, Tokyo, or Los Angeles, felt distinctly real yet subtly off, in a way that mimicked the nature of dreams. Filming on location in these diverse places added to the sense that the characters were traveling between different realities, yet at times these locations didn't feel quite right. This surreal quality was enhanced by the film's color palette, cool blues, muted tones, and warm hues, that made the dream worlds both vivid and unnervingly unfamiliar. However, it wasn't just the grand, physical stunts or the visually stunning dreamscapes that made Inception stand out. It was also the unexpected moments of improvisation that happened on set. There's a story from Nolan himself about how a particular shot, one of the most pivotal in the film, was a complete accident. In the scene where Cobb confronts his own guilt, the camera was set up for a standard shot, but at the last moment, a slight malfunction caused the camera to tilt in a way that was not planned. The shot turned out to be perfect for conveying Cobb's emotional disorientation, and Nolan decided to keep it in the film. It was one of those rare, unexpected moments of serendipity, where a technical failure actually elevated the film. As Inception came to life, it became clear that the movie was not just an intellectually complex puzzle, but also an emotionally charged journey for all those involved. Whether it was the relentless demands of practical effects, the innovative use of sound design, or the emotional vulnerability of the cast. Inception was the product of an extraordinary collaboration between a visionary director and a dedicated crew. From the very first concept to the final frame, Inception was a challenge, but it was this challenge that ultimately made it a work of cinematic art. Inception is a film that thrives on its emotional depth as much as on its intellectual complexity. At its core, the film is a meditation on guilt, redemption, and the blurred boundaries between dreams and reality. There are key moments within the narrative that aren't just plot points. They are emotional landmines, moments that change the trajectory of the characters and that resonate on a deeply psychological level with the audience. These scenes aren't merely captivating in the moment. They embody the film's core themes and its philosophical musings on the nature of the mind, reality, and perception. The opening dream sequence. The film begins with a breathtaking scene that already sets the tone for the entire narrative. Cobb, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, is found washed up on a beach, disoriented, with a team of agents retrieving him for a mission. The dream sequence is rich with intrigue, providing the audience with an immediate entry point into the world of dream manipulation. What makes this scene significant is how it introduces the audience to the layered realities of dreams within dreams, and it raises the stakes almost instantly. The action is fast-paced and thrilling, with Cobb being pursued by hostile forces in a city where the rules of physics are bent. However, this sequence is not just an action set piece. It begins the emotional journey for Cobb, as the dream world is not only a place of exploration, but also one of psychological torment. Cobb's immediate confusion in the scene, and the way he struggles to understand his surroundings, subtly suggests his own fractured state of mind. He is literally lost in his subconscious, and the audience is thrust into this disorienting world with him. This is the moment that the film establishes a fundamental theme: the subjective nature of reality. It's a theme that will be explored throughout, but here, it's introduced with a sense of urgency and mystery, setting the stage for the mental and emotional challenges Cobb will face. The Paris Fold. One of the most memorable visual moments in Inception occurs when Ariadne, Elliot Page, is given a lesson in dream architecture, and she witnesses the city of Paris literally fold in on itself. The visual of the city streets bending in impossible ways becomes an iconic image, but it is much more than just a stunning special effect. The folding streets visually represent the fluid and often contradictory nature of the dream world. There's no logic or consistency to the dream space, and the laws of physics seem to break down entirely. For the audience, this is a visual cue. We are not in the real world, and the journey we're embarking on is going to challenge our perceptions of reality. On a thematic level, this moment encapsulates the film's exploration of control, creativity, and manipulation. As an architect of the dream world, Ariadne has the power to shape these spaces, to break reality and reassemble it however she pleases. However, there is a darker subtext. Cobb has no such power over his own subconscious. His dreams are haunted by Mal, and he is powerless to reshape the emotional landscape she dominates. The contrast between Ariadne's fluid creativity and Cobb's oppressive guilt is sharp, and this scene begins to show the emotional cost of Cobb's inability to let go of his past. The sense of disorientation in this scene is also emotionally significant because it mirrors Cobb's ongoing internal struggle. The city folding is not just a dream manipulation. It is symbolic of Cobb's own fractured psyche. The seemingly endless layers of his guilt, regrets, and memories are constantly folding in on themselves, just like the streets of Paris. It foreshadows the deeper layers of the dream that Cobb will descend into, where his subconscious is far more convoluted and dangerous than the physical world ever could be. The zero-gravity hallway fight. One of the most innovative action sequences in recent cinematic history, the zero-gravity hallway fight scene is a standout moment in Inception. This scene is not only an impressive technical achievement, but also an emotional turning point in the film. As Arthur, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, fights off attackers in a rotating hallway, the physical impossibility of the situation forces the audience to reconsider their assumptions about gravity, time, and physics. But it is the emotional stakes of the scene that truly elevate it. The fight occurs at a moment of extreme tension in the story. Cobb and his team are in the midst of executing an elaborate heist inside Fisher's subconscious, and time is quickly running out. The zero-gravity fight serves as a metaphor for the character's struggle with time itself. Just as gravity is suspended in the dream world, so too are the laws of time bent within the narrative. The fight occurs simultaneously with other events happening in different layers of the dream, creating a stunning visual and narrative tension. On a deeper level, the scene is a vivid representation of the feeling of being out of control that pervades the entire film. In the dream world, nothing is predictable. Fighting, falling, or even floating are all just momentary, fleeting occurrences, much like the fleeting nature of time in Cobb's journey. The visceral action of this sequence also carries emotional weight for Arthur, who is forced to deal with the physical and emotional turmoil of fighting in a situation where nothing is grounded. This disorientation mirrors the larger struggles of the characters in the film, who are struggling to keep their heads above water as their sense of time, space, and reality unravels around them. The tension between the practical and the surreal reaches its peak here, and the fight serves as both a metaphor for the film's themes and a literal manifestation of how the characters are all fighting against forces they cannot control. Cobb's confrontation with Mal in the dream. Perhaps the most emotionally intense and pivotal scene in Inception occurs when Cobb confronts the projection of his wife, Mal, in the dream world. As Cobb descends into the deepest layers of his subconscious, he is forced to face his unresolved guilt over her death. The confrontation is heart-wrenching, not just because of the emotional tension between the two characters, but also because it exposes the heart of Cobb's internal struggle. Cobb's dream Mal is not just a projection. She is a manifestation of Cobb's guilt and the guilt of having, in his own mind, killed her by planting the idea that she was still trapped in the dream world. This scene is significant for multiple reasons. It forces Cobb to finally reckon with the truth of his actions, and in doing so, he is able to begin the process of healing. The emotional release in this scene is immense, as Cobb admits to himself and to Mal's projection that he cannot go on living in the dream world. This realization marks a turning point in the film, where Cobb begins to reconcile with his past, allowing him to finally let go of the guilt that has driven his every action up until that point. The scene is also incredibly powerful because of the way Nolan uses the dream world as a mirror for Cobb's emotional landscape. The world around him, which once seemed fluid and malleable, becomes a prison, a space he can no longer control. The imagery of Mal's projections destabilizing Cobb's physical reality mirrors how Cobb's unresolved emotions have trapped him in a mental labyrinth from which he cannot escape. The final scene, the spinning top. The final scene of Inception is perhaps the most widely discussed and analyzed moment in modern cinema. Cobb spins his totem, the spinning top, to determine whether he is still in the dream world or has finally returned to reality. The top wobbles, but before it can fall, the film cuts to black. The ambiguity of this ending is emotionally potent because it forces the audience to reckon with the film's central theme, the nature of reality. Does Cobb finally achieve peace? Or is he still trapped in his own mind? The scene functions on two levels. On the surface, it's a resolution to the film's central mystery, whether Cobb has escaped the dream world. But on a deeper, emotional level, the final shot asks the audience to reflect on Cobb's internal journey. Has he truly freed himself from his guilt, or has he simply learned to live with it? The unresolved nature of the top spin represents Cobb's internal dilemma. In a world where time, space, and reality are all malleable, can anyone ever truly know what is real? The unanswered question of whether the top will fall is a reflection of Cobb's emotional state. He's not sure if he's made peace with his past, but he's finally able to move forward with the knowledge that he's willing to face whatever comes next. The final moment is the culmination of everything the film has been building towards: Cobb's emotional release from guilt and the ambiguity of his final redemption. It's a moment that engages the audience emotionally and intellectually, leaving them to grapple with their own interpretations of the ending. This open-endedness forces a reflection on the nature of happiness and closure, and whether it is possible to ever fully escape the past. Inception is a film that is as much about pushing the boundaries of cinema as it is about telling a compelling, mind-bending story. From its innovative narrative structure to its groundbreaking visual effects, Inception achieved a level of creative and technical mastery that is still revered today. Behind the grandeur of its dream landscapes and mind-twisting plot twists lies a collection of brilliant, dedicated artists and technicians who transformed Christopher Nolan's ambitious vision into a cinematic masterpiece. What truly sets Inception apart isn't just its intellectual complexity or its narrative intricacies. It's the manner in which its creative and technical achievements work in harmony to immerse the audience in a world where the rules of time, space, and reality don't just bend, they break. The marriage of practical effects and CGI. One of the most striking aspects of Inception is its commitment to practical effects, a rarity in an age where computer-generated imagery dominates most blockbuster films. Nolan is known for his preference for practicality and realism, and with Inception, this vision was taken to new heights. While visual effects certainly played a major role, the film's commitment to using real-world techniques was central to its unique feel. The most iconic example of this hybrid approach is the zero-gravity hallway fight scene. In a film filled with mind-bending sequences, this one stands out for the sheer ingenuity of its execution. The fight, in which Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, Arthur, battles a group of attackers while floating weightlessly through a rotating corridor, was achieved by building an actual rotating hallway. Rather than relying on CGI to create the effect of weightlessness, Nolan and his team constructed a giant rotating set that could spin 360 degrees, allowing Gordon-Levitt to perform his stunts in real time. This required not only a meticulously engineered rotating hallway but also flawless coordination between the actors, the crew, and the camera operators. The result was a seamless blend of choreography, practical effects, and camera work that had an immediate and lasting impact on viewers. The physical nature of the sequence, with real actors in real, spinning sets, contributed a visceral quality that made the action feel more grounded and real than anything that could have been achieved through CGI alone. Yet, the combination of practical effects and CGI didn't stop there. While Nolan firmly believed in the value of physicality, he was equally aware of the power that digital effects could add when used judiciously. Take, for example, the folding streets of Paris scene, where Ariadne Elliott Page watches the city literally fold in upon itself. Though the folding streets were created through a combination of miniatures and computer-generated imagery, the interaction between the characters and the environment was meticulously planned and executed in camera. The film used practical effects to create the look of a distorted environment and relied on CGI to enhance the impossibility of the scene. The blending of the two techniques resulted in a visual experience that felt both grounded and fantastical at the same time. In a broader sense, Inception is a masterclass in integrating CGI with practical effects, creating a world that feels utterly tangible despite its surrealist nature. The hybrid approach gave the film's dream worlds a physicality that many CGI-heavy films struggle to achieve. Rather than allowing CGI to dictate the environment, the filmmakers used it to enhance the real-world sets and give life to ideas that would have otherwise been impossible to execute. It was a dance between the real and the imagined, and the end result was a film that felt as though it existed in its own unique cinematic reality. Sound design, a layered approach to reality. Another technical innovation that played a crucial role in the storytelling of Inception was the film's sound design. The sound, much like the visual effects, was integral in creating the dreamlike atmosphere of the film, but it was also an essential narrative device. Sound in Inception is not just something that accompanies the visuals. It actively helps to shape the emotional tone and guide the audience through the complex layers of dreams within dreams. The iconic kick sound, a loud, jarring noise used to awaken characters from the dream world, is one example of how sound was used creatively in the film. Rather than just being a sharp auditory cue, the sound of the kick became an emotional trigger for both the characters and the audience. It became a recurring motif throughout the film, symbolizing the transition from one state of consciousness to another, and was used both to heighten tension and create a sense of urgency. But beyond just this signature effect, Inception employed sound in much more subtle ways. One of the film's most prominent features is its use of the time dilation effect, the way time operates differently in the various layers of dreams. In the dream world, time runs slower than in reality, and the film uses sound to create this sense of temporal distortion. The ticking of a clock is often heard during crucial moments, echoing and reverberating in a way that creates a heightened awareness of time passing. The soundtrack itself, composed by Hans Zimmer, is intricately tied to this concept. The score, which uses a mix of synthetic and orchestral elements, often swells and slows down to reflect the passage of time within the dream layers. In one of the most memorable sequences, the score manipulates the rhythm of time as the characters' dream worlds run in parallel, with the ticking clock synchronized across all layers, amplifying the stakes of their mission. The blending of sound and visual elements was also key in crafting the disorienting nature of the dream world. The famous kick scene, in which a van plunges off a bridge in one dream layer while the characters experience gravity shifts in another, is enhanced by the sheer intensity of the sound design. The harsh thrum of the van's descent and the reverberations in the characters' worlds create a sonic environment that mirrors their chaos and fear, making the entire sequence more immediate and immersive. The use of miniatures and set design. One of the most extraordinary aspects of Inception is its ability to make the most surreal dream sequences feel real and tangible. The film's set designers and visual effects teams used an interesting blend of miniatures and large-scale practical sets to bring these dream worlds to life. The set for the Mombasa chase scene, where Cobb and his team are pursued through narrow streets, was built as a real, physical set in Morocco, a testament to Nolan's commitment to realism. Rather than relying entirely on CGI to recreate a bustling city, the filmmakers shot on location and used practical effects to capture the energy and claustrophobia of the scene. In other scenes, miniatures were used to create some of the more fantastical elements of the dream worlds. One memorable example is the exterior of the Snow Fortress, which was achieved using large-scale miniatures. The miniature set, though scaled down, was highly detailed, allowing for stunning shots of the fortress as it crumbled under attack. The miniature sense of scale helped sell the impossibility of the dream landscape, adding a tactile texture to the visual effects that would have been hard to achieve with digital models alone. In other instances, the film's set designers created massive, intricate dream spaces. The limbo scenes, where the characters confront their deepest fears and unresolved memories, were filmed in massive, sprawling sets that were built specifically for the film. These sets, especially the areas where Cobb's projection of Mal comes to life, were designed to feel oppressive and overwhelming. The use of vast, empty spaces with disjointed architecture played into the psychological unease of the characters, making the audience feel as though they, too, were lost within a dream world that had no clear rules. The design of these sets was just as crucial as the effects. The world they inhabited had to look different from anything we know, while still feeling anchored in reality. The emotional core, a commitment to realistic acting. Despite the technical brilliance of Inception, it is the film's emotional depth that truly sets it apart from other high-concept sci-fi films. At the center of the narrative is Cobb's journey to reconcile with his guilt over the death of his wife, Mal. This psychological conflict is not just something that can be shown through visual effects. It required extraordinary performances from the cast. The most challenging aspect of this was how to convey complex emotional states within a world where reality and dream are constantly shifting. To achieve this, Nolan worked closely with his actors to ensure that each performance felt authentic, even in the most surreal situations. Leonardo DiCaprio, in particular, was tasked with portraying a man who is haunted by the ghost of his deceased wife Mal throughout the film. Cobb's relationship with Mal, both in the dream world and in reality, is one of the film's emotional cores. DiCaprio's ability to portray the immense guilt and longing that Cobb feels was crucial to grounding the audience's connection with the character, and to making the fantastical nature of the dream worlds more relatable and emotional. In one of the more intimate scenes, where Cobb finally confronts his projection of Mal in the dream world, DiCaprio's performance shifts from one of rage and confusion to one of deep, painful acceptance. This scene is one of the film's most emotionally charged moments, and it was made possible only through DiCaprio's dedication to bringing emotional truth to a character whose journey was tied to an elusive, ever-changing reality. The role of the dream architect, a visual representation of control. Throughout the film, there is a subtle but powerful visual theme. The dream architect is a key figure in creating the dream world. Ariadne, Elliot Page, as the newest member of the team, is tasked with learning how to shape these surreal landscapes. The creation of dreamscapes, Paris bending and folding, the Snow Fortress, and the crumbling limbo, are visually stunning, but they also carry thematic weight. They represent control, the power to manipulate and structure one's environment. As Ariadne masters the art of architecture, she becomes an embodiment of the power of creation and destruction, something that echoes throughout Cobb's journey as he tries to construct and destroy his own emotional worlds. This architectural motif is pivotal in connecting the visual experience of the film to its thematic exploration of memory, guilt, and the boundaries of consciousness. Each dream world is not just a setting. It is a psychological construct, one that the characters are actively engaged in shaping. These carefully crafted environments were the result of a unique collaboration between set designers, visual effects artists, and Nolan, who all worked to create dreamscapes that felt as authentic as they were impossible. Inception is a film that demands more than just a passive viewing experience. It invites its audience to peel back layers and uncover the deeper messages embedded within its narrative. Beneath the surface of heists, dreams, and visual grandeur lies a complex web of themes and symbols that reflect not only the characters' psychological struggles, but also broader societal and cultural concerns. Inception is a meditation on the human experience, specifically on the themes of guilt, memory, identity, and reality, and how our perceptions shape our understanding of the world around us. At its core, Inception is a story about the fragility of the human mind and the lengths to which people will go to escape their own emotional truths. However, the film also draws on societal reflections, questioning how much of our reality is truly ours, or whether we are all living in some form of constructed illusion, whether through media, ideology, or even personal trauma. In the world of Inception, dreams are a tool for manipulation, a space where perception becomes reality. In this dreamscape, the boundaries between what is real and what is illusion blur, inviting us to question the very nature of truth. The power of guilt and memory. One of the most potent themes in Inception is guilt, a central driving force behind the film's emotional conflict. Cobb's journey is not just one of navigating the dream world, but also of facing his past, a past that has shaped and haunted him long after his wife's death. Throughout the movie, his memories of Mal and the guilt associated with her death act as a pervasive force, holding him hostage in his own mind. This is not just a story about a man trying to move on from loss. It's about a man grappling with a fundamental flaw in his understanding of reality, his refusal to confront the truth. The dream world in Inception becomes a literal manifestation of Cobb's guilt. It is not merely a place of fantastical landscapes or outlandish action. It is a world he has built as an escape from the painful reality he cannot fully confront. Cobb's journey is about his inability to let go of Mal, who is trapped in his subconscious as a projection. The tension that arises from this guilt ultimately shapes his actions. The film repeatedly suggests that to escape the maze of his own mind, Cobb must confront the truth of what happened to Mal, something he has been unwilling to face. The tragedy of Cobb's situation is that the more he attempts to bury his guilt, the more it takes root and manipulates him, complicating every aspect of his emotional and psychological state. His emotional conflict becomes a mirror for the audience's own inner struggles, making Cobb's journey deeply relatable on an individual level. The guilt also extends to the very concept of the inception, the planting of an idea. Cobb and his team specialize in this manipulation, extracting secrets from deep within people's minds. However, when it comes to his own life, Cobb's greatest regret is that he planted the idea in Mal's mind that she was trapped in the dream world, leading her to commit suicide. By planting that idea, Cobb set in motion a chain of events that ended in Mal's tragic death, something he is unable to forgive himself for. This notion of guilt is tied to the theme of truth. In the world of Inception, reality is not necessarily something objective or absolute. Cobb's memories are so deeply entwined with his guilt that his perception of reality is distorted, creating a dreamscape in which he cannot distinguish between his own remorse and the world he wishes to escape. The nature of reality and perception. One of the film's most obvious yet profound themes is the nature of reality itself. The film constantly asks the question, how do we know what is real? In Inception, the boundaries between dreams and reality are constantly in flux, leaving both the characters and the audience in a state of perpetual uncertainty. This theme is explored through the concept of the totem, a personal object that can help the dreamer discern whether they are in the real world or a dream world. Cobb's totem is a spinning top, which spins endlessly in the dream world but topples in reality. The totem is not just a tool for differentiating between reality and illusion. It is also a symbol of Cobb's struggle to reconcile with his past and his deep-seated need for closure. The totem itself becomes a metaphor for Cobb's life. In the final moments of the film, as the top spins, the question arises. Has Cobb truly moved on from his guilt and returned to the real world, or is he still lost in the maze of his subconscious? The unresolved question of the totem's fate becomes a representation of the uncertainty that permeates Cobb's emotional state. It's an existential query that extends beyond the confines of the film's narrative and touches upon larger philosophical questions about the nature of reality. How do we ever truly know what is real? Can we ever separate our subjective experiences from the reality we believe we inhabit? Inception proposes that perhaps reality is not as concrete as we think, and that perception itself shapes how we experience the world. This notion of subjective reality extends into the broader narrative of the film, where the act of dream manipulation itself becomes a metaphor for the way in which our perceptions are shaped. Cobb and his team implant ideas into people's minds, but the idea that reality can be altered by suggestion hints at something much deeper: the way society, culture, and media shape our beliefs and actions. We live in a world where we are constantly influenced by external forces, and the idea of inception is reflective of the way ideologies and cultural norms are planted in our minds, often without our conscious awareness. It's a subtle commentary on the ways in which our lives are, in many ways, constructed and manipulated, whether by governments, corporations, or societal pressures. Time, a manipulated construct. Another key theme that emerges in Inception is the fluidity of time and how it is perceived differently depending on one's mental state or reality. Time in the dream world operates differently from the real world. The deeper a person descends into the dream layers, the slower time moves. This manipulation of time is both a plot device and a thematic exploration. On one level, it adds to the tension and urgency of the heist. The team has to complete their mission within a specific time frame before the kick sends them back to the real world. But on a deeper level, the film uses time manipulation to explore the emotional weight that the characters carry with them. For Cobb, time is both his enemy and his solace. His memories of Mal exist in a space where time is no longer linear. In the dream world, he can relive moments from his past, revisiting them over and over, stuck in a loop of regret. He's trapped in a moment of his life, unable to let go of his loss. The film's portrayal of time is a direct reflection of Cobb's mental and emotional state. Just as time stretches and compresses in the dream world, Cobb's understanding of his past is warped, making it difficult for him to move on. The dream world becomes a psychological prison, where time does not heal wounds, but instead prolongs the suffering. This manipulation of time also underscores a larger commentary on the human condition. In our daily lives, we are all constantly negotiating our relationship with time, whether we are trying to slow it down or speed it up, or whether we are looking to the past or the future. Cobb's inability to escape the past is a central theme of the film, and the distortion of time reflects his inability to move on from the guilt that haunts him. Time is fluid in the dream world, but in Cobb's life, it is a prison. The dream becomes a metaphor for his stagnation, and the shifting nature of time mirrors the way in which we all try, in our own ways, to bend time to suit our emotional needs. Dreams and the subconscious. The importance of facing one's fears. In Inception, the dream world is not just a place of illusion, but a reflection of the characters' inner lives. Dreams become a canvas for confronting fears, desires, and unresolved conflicts. Cobb's entire mission is grounded in his attempt to manipulate Fisher's subconscious to implant an idea that will alter his perception of reality. But in doing so, Cobb is forced to face his own subconscious. His dream world is littered with projections of his guilt, fears, and his deeply buried memories of Mal. The deeper Cobb descends into the layers of dreams, the more intense the emotional stakes become. In the final, most harrowing layers of the dream, Cobb faces his darkest projections, his memory of Mal and the guilt associated with her death. Throughout the film, Cobb's emotional journey is symbolized through his interactions with the dream world, where his own subconscious battles him at every turn. His inability to confront his fear of losing Mal, of never being able to escape his grief, is what keeps him trapped in this labyrinth of dreams. It is only when he confronts the truth of her death, accepting that she was not truly alive anymore and that his actions led to her demise, that he is able to make peace with himself. In this sense, Inception is a movie about healing. But the healing process requires confronting the very thing we fear the most, the truth. It is not enough to live in the dream world of our memories, constantly replaying and reliving the past. To move forward, we must first acknowledge the past for what it truly is. In a sense, the dream worlds are not just tools of manipulation, but arenas for self-confrontation, where the characters must come face to face with their deepest psychological wounds. Christopher Nolan's Inception is a masterclass in cinematic storytelling, a film where every frame, every sound, and every decision made behind the camera comes together to craft an experience that is as immersive as it is visually stunning. From its intricate narrative structure to its groundbreaking visual effects, Nolan creates a world where the rules of physics bend, and the boundaries of time and space are constantly in flux. The movie's visual style, cinematography, and sound design not only serve the story but actively enhance the themes and emotional weight of the film. These elements blend seamlessly into the fabric of the narrative, ensuring that Inception is an unforgettable cinematic experience. Cinematic style and visual storytelling. At the heart of Inception's visual identity is its striking and often disorienting use of space. Nolan takes full advantage of the dream world's fluid nature, allowing the camera to move through surreal environments that constantly shift in ways that challenge our perception of reality. One of the most iconic aspects of the film's visual storytelling is its manipulation of the physical world, blurring the lines between dream and reality in a way that has never been done before on screen. Nolan's collaboration with cinematographer Wally Pfister is nothing short of extraordinary. Together, they create a visual language that complements the film's narrative complexity. One of the key elements of their collaboration is the use of practical effects. While Inception is known for its digital effects, many of the most jaw-dropping sequences were achieved using real-world techniques, lending the film a grounded, tactile quality. This dedication to realism allows the film's more fantastical elements to feel convincing, never alienating the viewer from the emotional core of the story. Perhaps the most memorable example of this is the famous hallway fight scene, in which Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, Arthur, fights in zero gravity. To create this effect, the filmmakers built a rotating corridor that allowed the actors to perform their stunts, while the set itself spun around them. This practical effect, combined with clever editing, creates a disorienting and thrilling sequence that feels both visceral and otherworldly. The decision to rely on physical, in-camera effects rather than relying solely on CGI gives the scene a raw, kinetic energy that elevates the experience and pulls the audience into the dream world with an authenticity that digital effects alone could never achieve. Christopher Nolan's direction is where all these elements come together. As a filmmaker, Nolan is known for his precise, meticulous approach to storytelling, and in Inception, every visual, auditory, and structural choice is made with purpose. His vision for the film was one that would challenge conventional storytelling and take the audience on a journey that was as much about the experience of watching the film as it was about the narrative itself. Nolan's ability to weave complex ideas into a cinematic framework, while maintaining a clear, accessible structure, is what sets Inception apart from other films of its kind. The stylistic choices Nolan makes throughout the film, from the gravity-defying action sequences to the layered storytelling, are all intended to serve one central goal: to engage the audience's mind while also drawing them into an emotional experience. His careful attention to detail in every shot, every frame, and every piece of sound design reflects his belief that cinema should be an experience that engages both the intellect and the emotions. In this way, Nolan's Inception is more than just a visually stunning film. It is an immersive exploration of the human mind, wrapped in a cinematic experience that pushes the boundaries of storytelling. Conclusion: Inception is a triumph of visual storytelling, sound design, and cinematic technique. The film's innovative use of practical and digital effects, along with its fluid and dynamic cinematography, brings the dream world to life in ways that are both breathtaking and unsettling. The editing, sound design, and music work in perfect harmony to create an experience that challenges our perception of reality and draws us deeper into the narrative. Christopher Nolan's vision, along with the contributions of his talented team, has resulted in a film that is as much about the art of cinema as it is about the exploration of the human mind. In Inception, every detail matters, and together, these elements combine to create a cinematic experience that is as intellectually stimulating as it is emotionally resonant. The magic of Inception doesn't just lie in its mind-bending plot or revolutionary visual effects. It's also deeply rooted in the undeniable chemistry between its stellar cast, the dynamic energy that emanated from the sets, and the ways in which the film resonated with audiences. The performances of the actors and the way they brought their characters to life were essential in making the world of Inception both emotionally grounded and incredibly immersive. Behind the scenes, the relationships between the cast members and the guidance provided by Christopher Nolan shaped not only the film's tone, but also the way audiences would come to experience and connect with the characters. The blend of on-screen chemistry and off-screen camaraderie resulted in a film that would leave a lasting impact, and the reactions from both critics and viewers further cemented Inception as one of the most influential films of the 21st century. Cast chemistry and its impact on performances. The ensemble cast of Inception was carefully chosen, each actor bringing something unique to their roles. At the center of the story is Leonardo DiCaprio as Dom Cobb, a man torn between his guilt-ridden past and his desire to reunite with his children. DiCaprio's performance is one of depth and vulnerability, something that could only come from the actor's ability to tap into the emotional core of his character. His portrayal of Cobb's torment and the inner struggle with his memories is perfectly complemented by the relationships he has with the other key players. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who plays Arthur, Cobb's partner in crime, provides the perfect foil to DiCaprio's troubled Cobb. Arthur is logical, calculated, and practical, with a deep understanding of the mechanics of the dream world. Gordon-Levitt's ability to bring both humor and gravity to the role gives Arthur a likable complexity. The relationship between Cobb and Arthur is one of mutual respect, but also tension. Cobb is driven by personal emotion, whereas Arthur is more focused on the mechanics and the business side of the mission. Their chemistry is effortless, and they complement each other perfectly. This dynamic helps ground the increasingly fantastical nature of the film's plot, balancing the emotional intensity with pragmatic, humorous moments. Elliot Page, who plays Ariadne, the bright, talented architect, also shares a unique chemistry with DiCaprio's Cobb. Ariadne is the character who starts to unravel the emotional complexity of Cobb's past, and Page's nuanced performance brings a sense of empathy and curiosity to the role. Ariadne's relationship with Cobb, where she acts as both a guide and a confidant, creates a kind of mentorship that deepens throughout the film. Page's understated performance allows the audience to see Cobb's vulnerabilities through Ariadne's eyes, adding a layer of emotional depth to the narrative. Marion Cotillard, who portrays Mal, Cobb's deceased wife, is pivotal to the emotional arc of the film. Mal is a projection in Cobb's mind, and Cotillard's haunting performance adds a layer of mystery and tragedy to her character. The subtle tension between Cobb and Mal is one of the film's central emotional drivers, and Cotillard's portrayal of the woman who both haunts and comforts Cobb is a masterclass in creating complexity within a character who doesn't physically exist in the world of the living. Her chemistry with DiCaprio is palpable, and it elevates the stakes of the film's emotional core. Effects. It was nominated for 8 Academy Awards and won 4, including Best Cinematography, Best Sound Editing, Best Visual Effects, and Best Production Design. The film's recognition by the Academy, alongside its financial success, cemented its place as one of the most influential films of the decade. Long-term fan engagement has been another testament to the lasting impact of Inception. The film has inspired a passionate fanbase that continues to analyze and dissect its intricate plot. Theories about the film's ending and the meaning behind its final moments have sparked countless discussions online. Some fans remain divided on the true nature of the ending. Was Cobb still dreaming, or was he finally in the real world? This ambiguity has ensured that Inception will remain a topic of conversation for years to come, with new generations of viewers continuing to discover and analyze its complexities. Conclusion: the chemistry between the cast of Inception was a key factor in the film's success. The performances, from DiCaprio's emotionally charged portrayal of Cobb to Hardy's charismatic Eames, were integral in bringing the complex characters to life. Behind the scenes, the dynamic relationships between the actors and their collaborative efforts with director Christopher Nolan shaped a film that was both intellectually stimulating and emotionally resonant. The audience's reaction to the film only reinforced its cultural significance, as it became a touchstone for cinephiles and casual moviegoers alike. Inception's blend of mind-bending visuals, thought-provoking themes, and deeply human stories created an experience that would continue to captivate audiences for years to come. As time passes, it becomes clear that Inception has left an indelible mark on the cinematic landscape, reshaping its genre, influencing filmmaking techniques, and seeping deeply into the very fabric of pop culture. Its cultural impact goes far beyond its 2010 release date, leaving a legacy that continues to reverberate through films, television shows, and conversations across the globe. Christopher Nolan's masterwork has become a touchstone for both filmmakers and audiences, with its groundbreaking approach to narrative structure, visual effects, and thematic complexity. When Inception hit theaters in July 2010, it wasn't just another summer blockbuster. It was a cinematic event, a film that pushed the boundaries of storytelling and technology while grappling with themes of reality, memory, guilt, and the subconscious. Few films have been able to leave such an immediate and lasting influence, but Inception's legacy can be seen in the way it changed how audiences and filmmakers think about dreams, narrative structures, and, most importantly, what is possible in cinema. Redefining the heist genre and filmmaking. One of Inception's most significant contributions was its reinvention of the heist genre. At its core, the film is a heist story, but Nolan's vision elevated the concept to an entirely new level. Instead of stealing money or precious artifacts, the team in Inception is hired to plant an idea deep within someone's subconscious, a process known as inception. This high-concept twist on the typical heist framework turned the genre on its head, introducing a cerebral, emotionally complex narrative that transcended the traditional action-driven heist plots of films like Ocean's 11 or Heat. Nolan's groundbreaking use of dreams as a setting opened up a world of possibilities for filmmakers to explore the boundaries of reality. With its gravity-defying fight scenes, bending cityscapes, and dream landscapes that seemed to collapse in on themselves, Inception created an entirely new vocabulary for how to represent the mind's vast potential for creativity and chaos. The film's success established Nolan as a master of high-concept storytelling, and its influence is still felt today in films like Interstellar, Doctor Strange, and even in the visual aesthetics of action-packed television series like Westworld. The film also solidified the use of practical effects in mainstream cinema, reinforcing the notion that high-budget, blockbuster films could still rely on the tactile, real-world techniques of filmmaking to achieve the impossible. Nolan's insistence on using physical, practical effects whenever possible, whether it was the rotating hallway or the massive sets built for the dream sequences, created a realism that CGI alone could never replicate. In a world where digital effects have often taken precedence over physical sets and real-world stunts, Inception made a compelling case for how blending practical effects with digital tools can create a seamless and captivating cinematic experience. From a filmmaking standpoint, Inception is also a masterclass in narrative structure. The film's multi-layered timeline, in which the characters travel through several levels of dreams within dreams, presents a unique challenge for both the creators and the audience. Nolan's decision to intertwine the ticking clock of the heist with the slow unfurling of Cobb's emotional journey created an intensity that built up throughout the entire film. It is this blend of structural complexity and emotional depth that allowed Inception to captivate audiences while leaving them with questions long after the credits rolled. In doing so, Nolan demonstrated how complex narratives could be both intellectually challenging and widely accessible. A lasting impact on pop culture. While the film's groundbreaking technical and narrative aspects were certainly revolutionary, Inception's influence extends far beyond filmmaking into the world of pop culture. Phrases like, "What's the point of the kick?" and "dream within a dream" became part of the cultural lexicon, reflecting the film's power to inspire conversation and analysis. The central question of whether Cobb is still dreaming at the end of the film has become one of cinema's most enduring debates, with countless theories, memes, and fan discussions emerging to unpack the film's layers. The film's iconic spinning top, a visual representation of Cobb's ongoing doubt about his reality, became an instantly recognizable symbol, evoking endless speculation about its meaning and significance. Fans around the world dissected the film's ending frame by frame, debating whether the top wobbled or stood still, in turn cementing Inception's place in the pantheon of films that refuse to answer all the questions they pose. This ambiguous conclusion tapped into a universal anxiety about our perceptions of reality, making it relatable to anyone who has ever questioned their waking world. Beyond its visual and narrative motifs, Inception also tapped into deeper cultural currents about memory, identity, and the nature of the subconscious. In a world where technology allows for increasing control over our memories, through social media, digital records, and curated online personas, the questions raised by Inception about what is real, what is remembered, and what is invented resonate more than ever. The film invited viewers to engage with the concept of memory not just as something personal, but as something malleable, something that can be influenced, distorted, and reshaped by external forces. This theme continues to resonate in today's society, where the line between truth and falsehood, reality and illusion, has become ever more blurred. The cultural reverberations of Inception can be seen in how it influenced a wide range of media beyond film. The idea of layered, nested realities, whether in dreams, virtual realities, or alternate timelines, has become a staple of contemporary storytelling. Whether in the mind-bending Doctor Strange films, the complex narratives of Westworld, or even the fragmented realities in shows like The OA, the echoes of Inception are unmistakable. It is now nearly impossible to have a conversation about movies or TV that explore mind-bending concepts without referencing Inception's groundbreaking vision, awards, milestones, and its enduring legacy. On top of its massive box office success, grossing over $830 million worldwide, Inception garnered critical acclaim and numerous accolades. The film received 8 Academy Award nominations and took home 4 Oscars, including Best Cinematography, Best Sound Editing, Best Visual Effects, and Best Production Design. These wins were a testament to the film's technical excellence and its influence on the industry, recognizing the groundbreaking work in the areas of visual storytelling, sound design, and practical effects. However, it wasn't just the awards that cemented Inception's place in history. The film's lasting impact can be seen in its continued relevance and the way it has been embraced by new generations of moviegoers. What makes Inception truly remarkable is that it hasn't aged, nor has its cultural significance diminished over time. In fact, the longer it is discussed, the more pertinent it feels. Its complex ideas about reality and perception have only become more relevant in an age where the line between virtual worlds and the real world is increasingly difficult to define. Perhaps most importantly, Inception shifted what was possible in mainstream cinema. At the time of its release, the film proved that high-concept, intellectually demanding films could still be box office successes. It shattered the myth that complex narratives and blockbuster filmmaking were mutually exclusive, showing that it was possible to create a film that appealed to both critics and general audiences, combining blockbuster spectacle with intellectual depth. In this sense, Inception paved the way for films like Interstellar, Arrival, and The Matrix Resurrections, which similarly mix complex ideas with big-budget filmmaking. The film's influence isn't just seen in other filmmakers' work, it's felt in how audiences now approach cinema. The very concept of what is real has become a central theme in many blockbuster films and has led to a deeper exploration of human consciousness and technology. Inception set the stage for a cinematic era in which filmmakers could ask difficult questions without the fear of alienating their audiences. By blending spectacle with philosophy, Nolan demonstrated that cinema could challenge the way we see the world, while still delivering an unforgettable experience. Conclusion: why Inception remains significant. As we reflect on the enduring legacy of Inception, it's clear that its significance has only deepened over time. It was a film that not only revolutionized the heist genre but also redefined what blockbuster filmmaking could accomplish in terms of intellectual complexity and emotional depth. From its groundbreaking visual effects to its intricate narrative structure, Inception is a film that continually challenges its viewers to think, question, and, ultimately, understand the world around them in new and exciting ways. But perhaps what makes Inception truly significant is its ability to transcend the medium of film itself. It has become part of our collective cultural conversation, a source of endless speculation, debate, and analysis. It has inspired filmmakers, artists, and storytellers across multiple mediums, influencing everything from television to video games, and forever changing the way we experience stories on screen. Beyond film, Inception has become a part of the wider cultural conversation. The imagery, themes, and even specific lines from the movie have found their way into everyday life. Whether in music, television, or internet memes, Inception has become shorthand for discussing the nature of dreams and reality. The film's iconic visual motifs, from the rotating hallway to the ever-spinning top, have become embedded in the cultural landscape, symbolizing the very idea of questioning what's real and what's illusion. Inception also made a lasting impact in the world of awards and recognition. Nominated for 8 Academy Awards, it won 4, including Best Cinematography, Best Sound Editing, Best Visual Effects, and Best Production Design. These victories were not just accolades. They were a reflection of the groundbreaking nature of the film, both in terms of its technical achievements and its ability to push the limits of what was possible in filmmaking. It's rare for a film to be both a critical and commercial success, but Inception managed to do both, proving that intellectual rigor and mainstream appeal need not be mutually exclusive. The film also gave Christopher Nolan a platform to continue exploring similar themes in later films, such as Interstellar and Dunkirk. Inception remains a cornerstone of Nolan's filmmaking career, showcasing his ability to tell complex, emotionally resonant stories that challenge viewers both intellectually and emotionally. The film's influence can be felt not only in Nolan's own work but also in the work of directors who have followed in his footsteps, pushing the boundaries of what storytelling in film can achieve. But perhaps the most important reason Inception stands out is the way it challenges us to reconsider how we engage with cinema. It invites us to question the very nature of reality, to examine the narratives we tell ourselves, and to ask whether we can ever truly escape the dreams we create. It encourages us to think critically about memory, guilt, and identity, while also delivering one of the most visually inventive and thrilling cinematic experiences ever made. Inception is not just a movie. It's a journey, one that stays with you long after the credits have rolled. And so, as we conclude this in-depth exploration of Inception, it's clear why this film remains a landmark achievement in cinema. It pushes the boundaries of storytelling, offers a richly layered narrative, and challenges its audience to look beyond the surface. Whether you're watching it for the first time or revisiting it years later, Inception offers a cinematic experience that is just as thrilling, thought-provoking, and emotionally resonant as ever. If you love this breakdown, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of cinema. Let's keep exploring movies together.